Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Zach. Here we talk about overlanding, gear, builds, DIY, all sorts of stuff related to modifying your vehicle, getting out there, adventuring in the outdoors. I've got a 2015 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro trim model. They didn't have a lot of different trim models with rear lockers in 2015. I've loved my 4Runner. Believe it or not, my 4Runner has tons of scratches, tons of dents, and surface rust, and all the sorts of things that you would probably expect on a trail rig. I try to do really good maintenance on it and keep it in pristine condition, but it's just inevitable. Things happen as you use it for what it's designed for. A lot of you out there might also wonder, kind of what year my vehicle is, and so I like to kind of just give an update every now and then. I think it has about 166,000 miles on it, and I've put about 70,000 of those miles on it. So it's been clicking along and running awesome for me. So you can probably already tell by the thumbnail or the title of this video, but we're going to be talking about a snorkel that was provided to me by 4Runner Lifestyle. So shout out to them. 4Runner Lifestyle has sponsored a number of products on the channel now, and they're huge supporters of me. So I appreciate them helping me out with this one. Alpha Equipped makes this carbon fiber snorkel in a short version and a long version. The short version appears to be really the only one that's compatible with roof racks. And then there's a long version, which maybe has a little bit better airflow, but I can't really tell if it would be necessary or not. It might just be more of an aesthetics thing. Feel free to, correct me on that in the comments down below. But basically, this snorkel is super lightweight and really high quality and expensive because it's carbon fiber, and rightfully so. So is this like the perfect snorkel for everyone? I would say no, but I would also say that for the money and the look, I personally think that it's worth it, because if it were just made out of plastic, maybe they could cut their costs. I'm not really sure why they decided that carbon fiber was the smart move on this, but I'm not mad about it. It looks pretty awesome, and it just kind of explains the price. It's similar to Sherpa. It's a really high quality product, and they use expensive materials, and so therefore the price is going to be higher than a lot of the other things on the market. So don't feel like I'm coming to you trying to sell you on this as it being the one and only option out there. Dobinsons, I think, makes a snorkel. ARB, I think, makes a snorkel. A bunch of other companies make snorkels, but they're like these massive things that go on the side of the vehicle, and it just doesn't look quite as low profile and clean as I would like it to be. So this sort of looks almost like an OEM plus snorkel, and I like that it's kind of just off to the side, but it still should provide all of those benefits. So why should you buy a snorkel is probably the next question you're thinking. There's a couple of different reasons, but the biggest reason I think is dust. As we start to trim more and more, you get an off-road bumper, do all these things, your fender liner gets worse and worse at filtering the air that gets up and above the fender liner. And if you've ever looked at the air intake above your fender liner, it's literally just like an air scoop that's pointed sort of backwards. And so if there's any dust up there, it's going to get sucked into your air box. And you have an air filter, so that helps to remove a lot of it. But over time, if you're driving in a lot of dust, maybe your air filter fills up with dirt a lot faster. And that can be annoying in and of itself, because you should probably clean it more. Depending upon whether you have like a K&N reusable filter or not, you might be buying new filters every time, which would be even more annoying. I have the reusable one, and I've got their cleaning solution and oil. I'll link all that down below if you're curious about that stuff. But that really makes it a little bit easier to maybe cope with having all that dirt being sucked into your air box, because at least you can just pull it out, clean it, put it back in. This is kind of a nice solution to prevent that from occurring. So basically, snorkels will go up and they'll pull more of the cleaner air above your vehicle. As your tire kicks up dust, it makes it more and more difficult for it to drift to the top of your vehicle as air is coming over the top of your vehicle. So you can pull a lot of the cleaner air from up top there. Not to mention, if this is done right, which I hope I've done, this will be a semi-waterproof solution for air intakes. So, the classic thought of a snorkel is because you're trying to drive underwater or something of that nature. And I'm not fully convinced that I should submerge the full front hood of my car because of electronics and other things, especially when you really kit out your engine bay with a dual battery system and all this other stuff. I just don't know how every single connection can all be waterproof perfectly, but for the sake of just safety and not water locking my engine, this will provide peace of mind if I ever do a water crossing as well. So a couple of benefits to having a Snorkel. I really like this one. I just kind of wanted to explain that up front so that you all didn't kind of panic at the price of this and then think that I was trying to send the wrong message. But let's kind of talk about what comes in the packaging, what some of the materials are that you're going to need to actually install this on the vehicle. Then we'll jump out to the 4Runner, we'll get this installed, and I'll show you it the best I can as I get it on the vehicle. This install ended up going a little bit late into the night, so hopefully the lighting is okay where I can show you everything that really you need to see when you are installing yours. So let's jump right into it. All right, so I just want to talk through what comes in this kit, and honestly, there's not really a whole lot. So there's no instructions. I think it's just like a purchasing order, and then the parts. They did a really good job of packing these. I just, it took a while to unpack everything. It comes with this nice template here, which will hang on the fender. Comes with the actual Snorkel itself. For this is the shorty, and so the backside's carbon fiber. Really not doing too good of a job right now keeping it from scratch free, but figure this thing's gonna get scratched a lot anyways just being on the vehicle. So on the back here we've got the hardware that we'll need. So we'll remove those before installing it. Some things that you will need outside of what's included would be some of these like different application and install products. I guess I should just touch on this. This is what connects your current stock airbox to the Snorkel. So what you're gonna need though is some painter's tape. We'll put that on the outside of the fender so we can mark it up and not have to ruin the paint job. Got a Sharpie here for doing the marking. This extreme mount Scotch tape actually comes with the kit. We'll put this on the back side of the Snorkel so it can stick to the fender and A-pillar. And then I bought this black RTV silicone adhesive sealant. We're going to need this in between each junction to try and keep this as waterproof as possible. And then up here we've got this Lennox brand, not sponsored, 3.5 inch metal hole saw bit, and I've connected the hole saw bit to my Hercules drilling bit for these hole style circular bits. So you'll need this as well as the other bits that we'll use to kind of drill some different holes in the pilot hole, etc. So yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff that you'll need specifically other than just typical tools. But let's jump out to the vehicle. Let's start getting this installed. All right, so holding this up here after we've taped everything off, I leave the edges loose so it's easy to pull the tape up. I marked all these holes, kind of holding this down and pressed against the fender because I think that helps it to form and actually be the template it's designed to be. I marked everything, and then since we're drilling with a 3.5 inch hole here, I marked the center of this circle so I can use my guide drill bit to mark right there. So got that all marked. Now we're gonna just got this auto centering punch. Mark all of our holes here. And for the terrifying part, drill. We're gonna try and set a high speed on here, and we're gonna kind of tap the All right, we're through. That wasn't so bad. The key is just have your drill in a really high setting and don't push hard. You got to go very gentle and push through, and that will allow you to slowly make these cuts and it won't grab and bite on you. So it also helps that this bit is brand new, but we pop right through. Looks pretty good. Got a lot of space in there actually, so that's awesome. And I can see the little air intake right in there. So slick. All right, now what we're gonna do is just clean all these edges up and throw some paint on them so that they don't rust. So I just wanna make sure that this kind of lines up accordingly. Wow, that looks really good. Okay. All right, well. Pop that harness out. There's a ground screw with a 10 mil on it on the back. You got to loosen this 10 mil bolt here on this big rubber, and then you also got to just pop this harness out from where it's plugged in. That gives us a bunch of space here. So now, looks like they're 12 mils. You can pop out the actual air box. If you could be so surprised, mine looked like they were kind of seized in there, so put them back with some anti-seize. But yeah, it's just one screw on the back and two inside the actual box to remove this whole thing. So that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. And then we got to kind of move this thing about so that we can pull this piece. Held on by two tabs on either side, so you just pop those back with a flathead screwdriver and it exposes everything. All right, I'm gonna wipe this up a little bit, get some water and paper towels, just clean out this dirt a little, and then rinse out the air box since I've got it out. But this gives me plenty of space to route everything that I need to. So also kind of tempting to route some of my cables for the electrical work, but knowing how easy it is to remove all this, I may just remove it again in the future. Okay, well, we got it all mounted up here, and it looks pretty sweet, honestly. Super low profile. It's definitely a grayer carbon fiber, so you know, it looks good with the black, but it's not a black carbon fiber. But I really like how low profile this is compared to a lot of other snorkels on the market. Got a bunch of the engine bay all cleaned up. Got some big projects coming for electrical work, so this is all ripped out right now, and tried to clean it up so that it was easier to route stuff and make it look nicer. Put together the air box last night, but I haven't finished the fender liner yet. There's 3 bolts, you know, one here, one in the back. I put together that harness, kind of see right there with the big white clip. That harness you gotta take apart, put it all back together, this clamp, and then also, you know, just plugging in all the other little harnesses and clips and everything. But it's basically good to go. So there is your air intake up top there. What I will note is the air box doesn't poke through this hole at all. So this portion will actually push through that hole. What I ended up doing was loosely securing the air box so that we could push against it. But there's kind of a taper on this piece of plastic here, or fiberglass, I'm not really sure what this is, but piece of plastic. It's like a bonded setup, I don't know. But anyways, there's a taper to it. I just like put tons and tons of silicone around that tapered portion. You can maybe see there's a little bit kind of sticking out the side there, because I assumed that if we put a ton on the tapered portion, when it squished together, it would create a nice waterproof seal. And then similarly up there, you put a ton of waterproof silicone on the flange that you stick against your fire, or that you stick against your fender there. So that's what I did. I came in first and I kind of pushed it in, and then at least lined it up pretty good, and then I bolted down this side, because there's 2 bolts on the flange, or 2 nuts I should say. And then once I got that all tight, I came back here, just kind of fit that so that it had a nice uniform seal. But taking out the fender isn't too bad. There's just some clips and whatnot you got to remove, like, you know, there's one right there, and a couple others. It's pretty straightforward. It's hard for me to give a perfect demonstration because I've ripped out a lot of this already, but as you can see, it's above this portion of your fender, so keeps it up nice, high, and tight in there. So the thing that I actually noticed was there's 4 bolts, and the bolts that were kind of farther back on the snorkel were much easier to do than the ones right next to that flange. So when you're tightening down those nuts, I actually used a piece of painter's tape to hold the nut inside a ratcheting wrench to get it up inside of here to actually start tightening it down on the snorkel, because it's really hard to access. Gosh, it's such a sharp snorkel. I really like how it looks. I don't love the big bulky ones, but I want to be able to wander around in water with plenty of confidence. So, all right, just got to put the fender liner back in, and this install's a wrap. Yeah, like I said, it's supposed to be a lower profile version as far as I'm concerned. There's all those benefits for air quality and keeping your air box waterproof. So I really appreciate 4Runner Lifestyle for sending this out to me. I'll have it linked down in the description, as well as some of the other materials to install it and some of the airbox stuff that I have. As far as I understand, I think they recommend using your stock airbox. So if you have a cold air intake or some of these other things, they might not be compatible with this snorkel. But yeah, hopefully you hung on to your stock airbox if you upgraded, and that will allow you to do this install easily. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the support. If you're willing to subscribe to me, I appreciate it. I'm going to be posting a lot more content this year, and if you've been following me for a while, you know I'm pretty consistent with content. So if you keep on coming back, I'll keep on posting content. Do it just about every week. So thank you so much for the support. I'll catch you all in the next video.